For many years, a king and queen had desired a child and lived with the quiet ache of that emptiness. So when at last a daughter was born to them, the whole court seemed to bloom with relief. Bells rang, fires were lit, and invitations went out for a christening feast worthy of long-delayed joy. In stories such as this, happiness often arrives attended by ceremony, as though the world itself must formally acknowledge it. Yet ceremonies are dangerous places when anyone powerful has been forgotten. The very abundance of the celebration prepared the way for its shadow. The king invited wise women or fairies from across the kingdom to bless the child. One promised beauty, another grace, another song, another sweetness of temper. Each gift seemed to shape not only the girl's future, but the atmosphere of the realm around her. The court listened with gratitude, confident that fate itself had begun favorably. But among the invited, there was one absence, and everyone felt it only when it was too late. There exists in old tales a special dread reserved for the injured pride of those who believe they have been denied proper honor. At the height of the feast, the uninvited fairy entered. Her presence silenced music more completely than any command could have done. She approached the cradle and spoke the curse that would govern the story. When the princess reached her 15th year, she would prick her finger on a spindle and die. Horror fell over the hall. Then the youngest of the good fairies, who had not yet given her gift, stepped forward and softened the doom. Death, she said, would become sleep, and not for the princess alone. 100 years of enchanted stillness would cover the kingdom until the appointed waking. In terror, the king ordered every spindle and spinning wheel in the kingdom destroyed. Messengers rode out with commands, and servants searched houses, towers, and workrooms until the ordinary craft of spinning seemed almost erased from memory. Such efforts belong to the logic of frightened rulers. If the object is removed, the future can be prevented. Yet fairy tales seldom allow destiny to be dismissed by decree. The princess grew in beauty and charm, surrounded by care, instruction, and watchfulness. The court believed itself safe because danger had been named and forbidden. That belief, of course, was its own form of blindness. On the day appointed by the curse, though no one around her understood the weight of the hour, the princess found herself wandering through the palace almost by chance. Curiosity led her where guards and tutors did not. She climbed a narrow stair into an old tower room, forgotten by the life below. There sat an old woman at a spinning wheel, working quietly and unaware of royal prohibitions, or perhaps immune to them. The princess had never seen such an object. Wonder, not recklessness, drew her nearer. In fairy tales, doom often enters through innocence more readily than through vice. The old woman invited her to try the spindle, and the princess put out her hand. The moment the point touched her finger, the prophecy was fulfilled. She sank not into death, but into a sleep so deep that it resembled the stillness of a stopped clock. The good fairy's mercy moved outward at once. One by one, the king, the queen, the courtiers, the servants, the cooks, the guards, and even the palace dogs and horses fell asleep as they were. Fires quieted without dying. Food ceased to spoil. The whole kingdom was gathered into an impossible pause. As years passed, a great hedge of thorns and roses grew around the sleeping castle until it became almost mythic in appearance. The outer world changed with seasons, generations, and rumor, but inside the circle of enchantment, everything remained exactly as it had been in the hour of sleep. Stories spread from village to village of a hidden princess, a cursed fortress, and princes who tried to enter and failed. The thorns closed against them like fate itself. Time, in this tale, becomes visible not through movement, but through its suspension. After many years, a prince came hunting in that region and heard from an old man the story of the sleeping beauty in the forest. Others before him had heard the same tale and been driven by pride or appetite for marvel. But when this prince approached the hedge, the 100 years had reached their end. The thorns did not seize him. Instead, they parted and bent aside, turning from barrier into pathway. Such moments are important in fairy tales. They suggest that what seems like conquest is often only arrival at the hour when resistance itself has already changed. The prince entered a silence unlike ordinary silence, for it was full of suspended life. He saw guards asleep at their posts, cooks asleep by their hearths, horses motionless in their stalls, and court ladies bent in attitudes time had never been allowed to complete. Dust had not conquered them, nor decay touched them. The whole palace seemed less abandoned than waiting. He passed through chamber after chamber until at last he came to the room where the princess lay. The story narrows here from kingdom to person, from wonder to intimacy. The princess lay before him as if sleep itself had chosen its loveliest form. The 100 years had not diminished her. Candlelight softened the room, and roses seemed to breathe faintly along the walls. In older versions, the waking may happen through kiss, presence, or simply the fulfillment of the spell's appointed end. What matters is not technique, but completion. The prince approached, and the long enchantment released its hold. The princess opened her eyes as though waking from a single night's rest, and history began moving again. At the same instant, the entire palace stirred. Fires brightened, clocks resumed, servants blinked and straightened, and half-spoken words continued from mouths that had paused a century earlier. Hunger returned, music resumed, and astonishment rippled from room to room. The king and queen, if still present in the version being told, rejoiced. In others, their time has passed, leaving the younger generation to inherit the waking. However it is arranged, the effect remains one of profound release. A spell that enclosed not only a body but a kingdom had finally lifted, and life rushed back into its suspended forms. Sleeping Beauty ends in reunion and marriage, yet its deeper beauty lies in its treatment of time. The tale suggests that some fulfillments cannot be forced, some wounds cannot be hurried, and some doors open only when their hour has fully come. The princess does not fight her fate in any ordinary sense. She passes through it and emerges intact when its term is done. Around her, the sleeping kingdom becomes once more a living one, and so the story leaves behind an image both restful and strange. Love, arriving not by speed or struggle, but by patience ripened into awakening.